أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed, evil, wicked devil Lucifer, everlastingly cursed. And I begin in the name of Allah. He is the sublime, the most gracious, the most compassionate. And this is your humble and respectable orator Muhammad Israel, bringing you the legendary military ideology series of the Prophet Muhammad Aqlayhi'Ssalam. Peace and blessings be upon him. We are in volume 2, picking up from page number 184. We have completed the legendary military career or the Madani period, also the legendary military legacy and the legendary military governance, as well as the legendary military empire of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi. And now we are in the volume 2 of the book that is displaying. And as we go into the aftermath of the battle of Siffeen, the battle of the arrows, where Muslims for the first time fought each other on the battlefield in such numbers. We are at where the battle came to a ceasefire, and arbitration was decided through the means of the Quran. And what the authors decided to do was to discuss the status or attributes of both of the arbitrators. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, who was known for being the governors of Kufa at one point, and Amr ibn al-As. 3.1 is the bulletin biography of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. His full name was Abdullah ibn Qais ibn Haddar ibn Harb. He was the great leader of and companion of the Messenger alayhi of Allah. Jalla Jalaluhu, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari at-Tamimi, the prominent scholar and reciter of the Quran. Abu Musa became Muslim during the early days of Makkah. Ibn Sa'd said, open quote, he came to Makkah and formed an alliance with Sa'id ibn al-As. He became Muslim early on and migrated to Abyssinia. Some reports say that he went back to his people to call them to Allah. Ibn Hajar reconciled the reports about his becoming Muslim, saying, open quote, there is some confusion about the reports that said that Abu Musa migrated to Abyssinia, because what is mentioned in the second report is that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari left his land with a group of people leading towards the Prophet alayhi in Khaybar. It is possible to reconcile these reports by noting that Abu Musa migrated first to Mecca, where he became Muslim, and the Prophet Muhammad alayhi sent him with those whom he sent to Abyssinia. Abu Musa went to his people's land, which was opposite Abyssinia on the eastern side. When he realized that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions had settled in Medina, he headed for Medina, along with those of his people who had become Muslimin, but the ship that was carrying them ended up in Abyssinia because the wind blew it off course. That is possible, and thus the reports may be reconciled and should be adopted. 3.1.1 The badge of honor that the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu pinned to the chest of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. A. You migrated twice, your migration to Abyssinia and your migration to me. End quote. It was narrated that Abu Musa said, open quote, we set out from Yemen with more than 50 of my people. We were 3 brothers, myself, Abu Rum, and Abu Amir. But our ship took us to Abyssinia, where Ja'far and his companions were, and we came when Khaybar was conquered, the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, you migrated twice, your migration to Abyssinia and your migration towards me, end quote. It was also narrated that Anas said that the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, open quote, tomorrow people will come to you whose hearts are more receptive to al-Islam than yours. The Ash'aris came, and when they drew close, they began to recite poetry. Shi'aris, saying, tomorrow we will meet our loved ones, Muhammad and his party. When they arrived, they shook hands. They were the first ones to start the tradition of shaking hands. Very important. 3.1.1b, open quote, they are your people, O Abu Musa, end quote. It was narrated that Iyad al-Ash'ari said, when the ayah, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will bring a people whom He will love, and they will love Him. Quran, Surah number 5, ayah number 54 was revealed. When this ayah was revealed, the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, they are your people, O Abu Musa, and he pointed to him. So when the ayah was revealed, he said that those are your people. The people that are being referred to in the ayah are your people. 3.1.1c, O Allah, forgive Abdullah ibn Qais for his sins and admit him to a gate of great honor on the day of resurrection, end quote. It was narrated that Abu Musa said, open quote, when the Prophet Muhammad Aqlayhi'Ssalam had finished with Hunayn, he sent Abu, and Hunayn was the treaty or the expedition of Hunayn, very important military expedition at the end. He sent Abu Amir al-Ash'ari at the head of an army to Autaz, where he met Durayd ibn as-Sama. Durayd was killed, and Allah Jalla Jalaluhu caused his companions to be defeated. Abu Amir was struck in the knee with an arrow, and it was stuck in his knee. I came to him and said, O uncle, who struck you? Abu Amir pointed him out, and I went and caught up with him, but he ran away. When he saw me, I started saying, don't you feel ashamed? Aren't you an Arab? Won't you stand firm? So he stopped, and we met and traded blows. Then I killed him. I went back to Abu Amir and said, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu has killed your opponent. He said, pull this arrow out. I pulled it out, and water came out of the wound. He said, oh my son, O son of my brother, go to the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu and convey greetings of salam to him from me, and say to him, Abu Amir says to you, pray for forgiveness for him. Abu Amir appointed me in charge of the people, and it was not long before he passed away. When we returned, I told the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu what had happened. He made wudu, meaning ablution. He made ablution, then he raised his hands until I could see the whiteness of his armpits, and he said, O Allah, forgive Abu Amir. Then he said, O Allah, on the day of resurrection, make him above many of your creation. I said, and me, O Messenger of Allah. Yes, because Messenger of Allah is praying, and he wants to be added on to the supplication, right? And me, O Messenger of Allah, alayka salawatullahi alayhi. He said, O Allah, forgive Abdullah ibn Qais for his sins and admit him to a gate of great honor on the day of resurrection. 3.1.1d. Open quote, this one has rejected glad tidings, you too should accept it. It was narrated that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, I was with the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu in Al-Jirana when a Bedouin came and said, will you fulfill your promise to me, O Muhammad? The Messenger alayka salatullahi alayhi said to him, "Be of good cheer." The Bedouin said to him, "How often you say to me, 'Be in good cheer'?" The Messenger alayhi said, he turned to Bilal ibn Rabah and me, saying, "This one has rejected glad tidings. You too should accept it." They said, "We accepted, O Messenger of Allah, alayka salatullahi alayka." The Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu called for a vessel of water. He washed his hands and face in it and rinsed his mouth. Then he said, "Drink from it and pour some of your heads and pour some on your heads and chests." We did that. And Salama called out to us from behind the curtain, "Leave some of that which is in your vessel for your mother." So we left some of it for her. Salama, one of the mother of the believers. And the Sahaba actually made it. Those who know of the expedition of Hunayn, the expedition of Hudaybiyah, one will come to the understanding that they did not even allow water to hit the ground, the Sahabas, when the Prophet ﷺ was making wudu. They, would rush for that and they would take it because it's blessing, it's mercy, it's healing. 3.1.1e, open quote, "He has been giving a beautiful voice like that of Dawood." It was narrated from Abdullah ibn Buraidah that his father said, "I came out of the mosque one night and saw the Prophet Muhammad alayhi standing at the door of the mosque, and a man was praying. He said to me, 'O Buraidah, do you think he is showing off?' I said, 'Allah Jalla Jalaluhu and his Prophet alayhi knows best.' He said, 'Rather, he is a devoted believer. He has been given a beautiful voice like that of Dawood.' I went to him and saw that he was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, and I told him about that." Why mention that to him? 3.1.1f, "O Abdullah ibn Qais, should I not tell you of one of the treasures of paradise?" It was narrated that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, "We were with the Messenger of Allah alayhi on a journey, and the people were climbing a hill. Every time a man reached the top of a hill, he would say, 'La ilaha illallah wallahu akbar.' There is none worthy of worship other than Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, and Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is the greatest." And I think he said it at the top of his voice. The Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu was on his mule climbing up the mountain. He said, "O people, you are not calling upon one who is deaf or absent." Then he said, "O Abdullah ibn Qais, O Abu Musa, shall I not tell you of one of the treasures of paradise?" I said, "Yes." He said, "O Messenger, alayka salatullahi alayka." Then he said, "Say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." There is no might and no power except with Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. 3.1.1g, "Be easygoing and do not be harsh. Give glad tidings and do not put people off." The Messenger of Allah alayka salawatullahi alayhi appointed Abu Musa in charge of Zubayd and Adin. It was narrated from Abu Musa that when the Prophet alayhi salawatullahi ta'ala alayhi sent him to Yemen with Mu'ad, he advised them, "Be easygoing and do not be harsh. Give glad tidings and do not put people off." End quote. Abu Musa said to him, "In our land there is a drink called at-tabagha that is made from honey, and there is another drink called al-mizr that is made from barley." The Prophet ﷺ said, "Every intoxicant is haram." End quote. Then both of them went on their way, and later Mu'ad asked Abu Musa, "How do you recite the Quran? Abu Musa replied, I recite it in my prayer and when riding my mount and standing and sitting a little at a time. Mu'adh said, I slept, then I get up, so I hope for reward from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu when I sleep, as I seek reward from Him for my night prayer. 3.1.2 The status of Abu Musa in the view of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. Abu Musa was one of the pillars of the Muslim state at the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He was a commander of the army during the conquest of and Qathan and at the Battle of Kastar. He was also one of the founders of the Basri school at the time of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He went to Basra and taught there. He was regarded as one of the most knowledgeable of the companions. He was influenced by Umar ibn al-Khattab and there was a correspondence between them. This is a mention in the discussion of the institutions of the governors and judges. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu was famous for his knowledge, worship, piety, modesty, dignity, lack of interest in worldly gains, and steadfastness in adhering to al-Islam. He is regarded as one of the senior scholars, jurists, and muftis among the companions of the Messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He was mentioned by Al-Dahabi in Tadkiri or Tadkirat al-Hufaz, excuse me, as being at the highest level of the companions. He was knowledgeable and acted upon his knowledge. He was a righteous man who constantly recited the book of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, and he had the most beautiful voice when reciting Quran. He was the most knowledgeable of the people of Basra in Quran and in deep understanding of al-Islam, and he conveyed that excellent and blessed knowledge. He spent a great deal of time with the Prophet Muhammad alayhi, and he learned from senior companions such as Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ali, Ubay ibn Ka'b, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. May Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with all of them. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was influenced in particular by Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who gave him a great deal of advice and sent letters to him during his lengthy governorship of Basra. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari used to refer to Umar ibn al-Khattab concerning all cases that came to him, to the extent that Ash-Shu'aba regarded him as one of the leading and most famous judges of the Ummah. And full stop. He said, open quote, the judges of the Ummah are Umar, Ali, Zayd ibn Thabit, and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. When Abu Musa came to Medina, he was keen to attend Umar's gatherings and sometimes spent a long time with him. It was narrated from Abu Bakr ibn Umar that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari came to Umar ibn al-Khattab after the evening prayer, and Umar said to him, what brings you here? He said, I have come to talk to you. He said, at this hour? He said, it is to discuss a matter of knowledge. So Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu sat down and they talked for a long lengthy time. Then Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said the prayer, O Amir al-Mu'minin. Umar said, we are in a state of prayer. Inshallah, we will end this one here on page number 190. Subhanakallahumma, glory be and supplication, all praises be to Allah, and in His beautiful names and bounties is full of reward and bounties. And we send salutations upon all of the and praises upon all of the prophets, all of the messengers sent by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. And our final supplication is all praises and glory is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe alone. This is your humble and respectable orator Muhammad Israel, signing over and out.